This is a video tutorial for the monthly budget dashboard spreadsheet. In this video, I'm going to go through how to use a spreadsheet and some ways that you can customize it to your liking. But if you ever have any questions about anything, please feel free to message me about any question that you have about this. So when you first download it, you're going to open this Google Doc. It'll take you to link to the actual spreadsheet so you can make a copy. Right here, I have two links. Either one will take you to the budget spreadsheet. So if you click on this one, it will ask you if you want to make a copy, and you just say make a copy. Now with this, you do have to have a Gmail account to access Google Sheets. To get a Google account or a Gmail account, it is free to sign up. And with that, it does give you a Gmail email where you can access all your Google spreadsheets and docs. So after you make a copy, it'll open up the spreadsheet for you. Depending on what your computer is set on is how zoomed in it is. You can play with the zoomed in feature from your computer or from the actual spreadsheet. It really just depends. I usually do Control plus or Control minus to zoom in and out. And so as you can see, I have this set on 75%. I can also put it back to 100%. And then there is another zoomed in feature on the actual spreadsheet that you can change as well. So it really just depends. So I'm going to change it to 75% on the spreadsheet and 67% on my computer. Again, I just do that by hitting Control plus or minus. So right now, this is the empty spreadsheet. There is an error message right here, but that will go away once you start inputting your numbers. So the first thing you're going to do when you open this spreadsheet is decide on whether you want to make a new spreadsheet for each month. You can do it later. It's just if you already start filling in these numbers, you'll have to make a copy and then go back and delete them, but it's up to you on what you want to do. You can go ahead and make a 12-month or 6-month, whatever you want. And in order to just make a copy of a spreadsheet for another month, you just click the arrow on the tab at the bottom and duplicate, and then it'll send you another spreadsheet down here at the bottom, so you can start adding another month. To change the name of these, you just again click the arrow, rename, and then you can name this a certain month, whatever is easier for you to find your budget that month. Once you've decided on how you want to name your tabs and how many tabs that you want for each month, then you can start doing your monthly budget. So what I like to do first is go ahead and type in the month that you're on. I'm just going to put September since this is the month that we're on right now. And then the next part is I go down to the income area and put how much income that you are expecting to get this month. Now, if you're a weekly budgeter, you can put the week that you get it on and the dates right here. But for this example, I'm just going to put my whole monthly income for the month of September. And then you can put your budgeted amount, whatever that may be. And then when you actually get your paycheck, you can put the actual number that you get right here. So I'm just going to use an example of I expected 5,000, actually got 5,500. So that is a difference of plus $500. Same thing here. If I put in 4,500, it would be a negative $500. So you don't have to type anything here or at the bottom, it will populate. If you need more rows than this right here, just go ahead and message me and I can make you a spreadsheet that adds more rows than this. So again, the formulas are already done in here, so you don't have to mess with these areas, just the ones without the $sign in them. But by the beginning of the month, sometimes I don't know my actual, so I'm going to leave that blank for now. The next thing for my budget, whenever I set it up before the month, is I go down to my expenses and fill in the expenses that I expect to have that month. I have set this to where this top box right here will have all my fixed expenses, which is like your bills, the expenses that don't really change that much from month to month. So here I'll put my mortgage, I'll put my trash bill, my utility bill, I'll put any subscription here that comes out each month. So these are your monthly expenses, your bills, whatever you want to put here. And you can actually change this to bills if you wanted to, if you don't like the word fit. So for this one, you are only going to fill out this part and the budgeted amount here. These two will auto populate whenever you do your expense tracker and track all your expenses for the month. Also, whatever you type in your expenses here will populate in the categories over here. So as you can see, there's nothing in the categories for your expenses. You don't really need to mess with this at all, the edit button here. So for example, I'm going to put rent here as my expense, and I'm going to budget $1,000, for example. So if you click over here and you type in your rent expense here, you'll see that it's now in the category. So again, all your expenses here will be in the categories over here, so they'll auto-populate in your actuals, if that makes sense. Then if you scroll down, this is the cool thing I like about this spreadsheet is the variable expenses. These are your expenses that don't really come out once a month, but instead come out as they come up throughout the month. For example, I like to put food in this category, any expenses with kids that come up. You could put your miscellaneous here. You can put any household expenses. If you have a pet expense that comes up, gifts, whatever variable expenses that you want to track from week to week that you're spending, this is where you put them, is in your variable expenses. Again, you can change the wording here if you want, but just remember that whatever you put here will actually go over here to your weekly tracker. So while we have a monthly budget, we're going to type in here, the chart on the right here tracks your expenses from week to week. So as you can see, this is week 1 up here, and I see all my variable expenses. And here's week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 over here. So let me just type in some numbers here. Let's put 700. We'll do 100 for kids, 100 for households, 100 for pets, and $50 for gifts, just for example. So whatever number I put in here in the budget, you'll see that on the check-in, those numbers come over here. And then once we start putting in our expenses throughout the month in our expense tracker, they will be deducted over here so you can see how much you have left over from week to week. So this is my favorite part about the budget sheet, is since I am a monthly budgeter, I like to check in with my expenses each week to make sure that I'm not going over. And then scrolling down for savings and debt, I don't have a weekly tracker on these, but you can just track them in your expense tracker. So let's say you're saving up money for your sinking funds here. You just put what you budgeted here, whatever it is, $400. And then let's say you're going to put debt payment, you're going to put an extra $100. This is however you want to do it. If you want to put your big debt here as a bill, you can do that. If you want to just put what you're putting extra to debt, you can do that as well. Scrolling all the way down, you can see how much I budgeted for each variable category, and then it adds it all up. And then based off what you originally budgeted, it'll minus your total expenses. So this number right here is what you budgeted to bring in minus all your expenses, if that makes sense. So I technically here in this example, I have over $2,400 left, but obviously I'm just using this as an example. You would obviously allocate that money better, and I'm sure you would probably have more fixed expenses than just rent. This is just my example. For the actual column, again, remember you do not have to put anything in the actual column, because once you start tracking your expenses, then it'll auto-populate here in the actual. And while I was putting in all those expenses in my budgeted amount, my chart was allocating that and filling in as we went, so you could see where our money's going. In our little example here, we have 39% of our income going toward our fixed expenses, 41 toward our variable, 15 toward our savings, and 4% toward our debt. So you can see the visual here. And then the budgeted breakdown is the same thing, except it has every single category this time. So you can see more of a specific breakdown here if you want. And then as we start filling in our expense tracker throughout the month, jotting down every single transaction that we make, then our actual expense overview and breakdown will start to auto-populate. And let me show you an example here. And before I get started, I want to note that everything that I typed in to the categories is going to auto-populate here. So everything that you typed in here And let's say you have 20 more categories you need to put in here because there's enough room for that. They'll all pop up in the drop down box. So for example, let me say that my rent came out on the first of the month and it came out of my checking account the first week. And I'm going to just call this rent. And my rent was $1,000. And I'm going to go to the category, go to the drop down box and click rent. And as you can see, it populated in my actual over here on my budget. And then also the pie chart is now picking it up. So as we enter our transactions throughout the month, our actuals will start to auto populate, our weekly check-ins will start to auto populate, and our charts will pick up what we are spending and auto populate there as well. Let me go ahead and type in another expense. Let's say on the second, let's just say I'm using my credit card to earn certain points. Say we bought some stuff for the pets at Walmart. So I'm put Walmart and I spent $23 at Walmart for the dogs. And so I'm going to put pet there, and again it'll start to auto populate. Let's say on 4th we went to the grocery store and I used my debit card come out of my checking. We're gonna call this week 1, and we went to the grocery store, your local grocery store, whatever that may be, and we spent $125 on groceries. And I'm gonna put that under food. And again, you'll see it all calculating in here. So we have it in our weekly check-ins, and then it'll also be over here in our budget, scrolling down, see food, and it's in our variable expenses here. So the food and the pet so far. You can make whatever days you want to be week 1, whatever days you want to make week 2, 3, and 4. It's up to you. I usually have 1 week that's a little bit longer than 7 days. For example, I make the first 10 days of the month week 1, just because I spend a lot in week 1 and I want to track my spending and budget for the rest of the month. Some people have their longer week at the end of the month. So it really just depends on your preference. For this spreadsheet, you need to fill in the budgeted amount and the actual amount here on your spreadsheet. So let's say I have gotten paid, so I know my actual amount now. And then this is the only thing that you have to type is right here in this blank spot is what income it is, the budgeted, the actual. Again, for the actual budget, you only need to put the categories and the budgeted amount. For the fixed, the variable, the savings, and the debt, you do not need to type anything here. It will auto-populate for you. You do not need to do anything for the charts, and you do not need to do anything for the weekly check-ins besides just see how much you have left in your budget from week to week. So whatever's left over after week 1 will roll over to week 2. Whatever's left over from week 2 will be rolled over to week 3, and whatever's left over from week 3 will be rolled over to week 4. So here again, you don't have to type anything. Everything will auto-populate in the weekly check-in. And then the expense tracker, this is the only thing after the beginning of the month you do your budget. This is the only thing that you're going to be editing throughout the month, is tracking all your expenses and typing them in and making sure that you are filling in every box here. So that is pretty much the overview. And then the last thing that I added on here that isn't really go with the budget, but it's just mainly to note, are the monthly goals that you can add here. Just type in what goals you have. You can check them off as you complete them. And then at the bottom, I added a sinking fund tracker. The only thing that's auto-populated here is the balance at the end of the month and then the totals. So let's say that I had a Christmas sinking fund and a vacation sinking fund and a car sinking fund, just for an example. You would put how much that you started with for each one, and then the amount that you were able to add throughout the month. And then if you spent some money, you could actually put in that you spent out of that account, and then how much you have left over. So it doesn't really go with the budget sheet so much as it's just a way for it to do the math for you, and you can track it here. So this is how much you started with, this is how much you were able to contribute, and this is how much you have left in all. And then at the last part, I added a little note section here so you can type yourself, anything that you need to note for this month. Like I like to use this section to note any transactions that may come up throughout the month for next year. So let's say that I forgot to budget for fall drinks at Starbucks. So let's say I could put fall drinks at Starbucks. This is just a silly example that I'm using, but that's something that you could put in there that you can budget for next year. I like to go back and look at these notes from the previous year to make sure that I am budgeting for everything that I need a budget for. So that is everything you need to know for the budget spreadsheet. Now there are some ways to customize this. So the first one is the account, because you may want to actually label these the actual account that you have. So you would go here to the edit button. So just go to one of these and click this edit button right here. And you can change these categories. So let's say instead of my checking account, I want to call it my Chase account. So you would mark done. And then do you want to apply to just this one box or apply to all? And you want to apply to all, because when you do that, then you will see that it now has changed to your Chase account. So instead of putting credit card 1, credit card 2, you can actually put the name of them there. So I changed that there. I would recommend doing that just to keep organized. Again, the account section, you could leave totally blank and not put anything there because it doesn't mess up the budget sheet. But I added the account just to make it more organized so you know where that money's coming from. If you're using your credit card to earn points, then it's good to know how much that you're spending on that card. And this is kind of extra, a bonus, but something I've done before in the past is add a little pop of color to my categories. I really got this idea from the Budget Mom. She highlights her categories different colors, and you can really play with this if you want. Just highlight the category section, and you can do this for all your categories and your budget and the weekly check-in. So it's up to you. Again, this is not necessary by any means. This is only for fun. And so what you would do is highlight all the categories in this section. You would right click it, and then on my computer it says view more cell actions, and you're going to click conditional formatting, and it automatically is highlighting all of it this blue color, but you can change that. So what you want to do is, if you want to have a different color for each category, you would click one of these. You can say text contains or starts with or is exactly. I like to put contains because it gets really close to the words that are in the category. So I'm going to put, let's say my first one is rent. I know I'm going to have that category. Right now it's highlighting it blue. Let me go to customize. Let's say I wanted this. So the blue color, I wanted this grayish color right here. I'm going to click OK. It's going to change it to this grayish color. Let's say I want pets to be a purple color. I'm going to click add another rule and put text contains, and I'm going to put pet. I want to change this to a purple color. We're going to go to a purple color here. I want to change it to this purple color here. Okay, it changes it to the purple. And so I can just keep going for all my budget categories if I want. You can make as many rules as you want. I'll do one more. So I'm going to put food just because I see food there. And I'm going to change it to a blue color. So I'm going to change it to this light blue color. And there we go. And I'm going to mark as done. So once I mark as done, I can see all my categories here and the colors that I assigned to it. And if I wanted to add more my categories, like I can make one for the household, one for kids, and I can just keep going here and add different color schemes. Now, again, this is extra. It's just a bonus if you want to add a little pop of color, but I just wanted to give you an example of what that looked like on the budget sheet if you wanted to add a little color and just customize it to your liking. I really hope you enjoyed this spreadsheet. It has really helped me stay under budget. I am a monthly budgeter, but doing these weekly check-ins have really helped me and my family stay on top of our finances and not let them control us. I want to thank you for your purchase. And again, if you need anything, please feel free to message me. And I hope you enjoy the spreadsheet. Thank you.